I was not a DCEU fan until the release of the Snyder Cut. This really turned everything around for me. This movie is the best entry in the DCEU, and it completely recontextualizes, revitalizes the DCEU. Now I can't wait to go back and watch Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Wonder Woman, just because I know where it's going, right? Just how just the similar way as to how Infinity War and Endgame really sells the entirety of the Infinity Saga. That's starting from the very first Iron Man movie up until Endgame. Just makes it such an enjoyable experience to watch it all from start to finish. I'm getting that same vibe because of the Snyder Cut with regard to the rest of the DCEU. Individually, I don't think Man of Steel is a great movie. I think it's a misguided vision, a misguided approach to Superman. Excuse me. And I thought Batman v Superman was bloated, and it was trying to do way too much. But now I can forgive all that because of this amazing, amazing climactic ending. Really great stuff. I had no interest in watching this. I thought this would only appeal to the DCEU hardcore fanboys, right? I'm always down for a great experience. I'm always down for a good movie. But I had no hope for this. I always believed the hype of surrounding the movie was more interesting than the movie itself. The phenomena around the Snyder Cut was way more fascinating than the Snyder Cut itself. But having watched it, I'm glad to be wrong. I'm glad that this movie completely sold me. I'm there. Congratulations, Zack Snyder, for pulling this off. You've completely revived the DCU, in my opinion. Please give the DCEU, give that universe back to Zack Snyder. I believe there are rumors now that there's going to be a Justice League 2 and 3, like there's going to be sequels. Hopefully that's not just a rumor, and I hope that comes true, because clearly Zack Snyder knows what he's doing with this universe, right? There's something to look forward to there if they let him continue with it. Now, onto the nitty gritty, and please watch out for spoilers. I'm assuming you've seen this movie already. It's 4 hours long. I watched it twice. That's 8 hours of my day. It's a work day, basically, watching this movie, and it was a pleasure. There's nothing I enjoy more than a lot of something. I'm a lush, right? Folks have been comparing the ending of this movie, the Snyder Cut, to The Return of the King, Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, as in how it kept on ending. I am fine with that. As long as I got what I paid for in the movie itself, it can end as many times as it wants. That's no problem for me. That's just icing on the cake, right? So, yeah, certain things, I do have certain gripes about the movie, but none of that spoils the experience for me. For example, the beginning of the movie with the introduction of Wonder Woman, that was just a waste of time. That wasn't needed, but I guess it just needed a way to introduce Wonder Woman into this story, right? So, but it didn't do anything. It had nothing to do with the price of tea in China, right? So that was, we could have done without that. Other than that, what else didn't I like? I didn't like the certain parts of the movie that it's clear that it was tacked on, that it just had no logic behind it. There was no sense behind it, but it was tacked on because Zack did some reshoots. For example, the Martian Manhunter. It's interesting that he's been there all along, and we finally see the general change into the Martian Manhunter. That is cool. That is interesting. But the scene where he's talking to Lois Lane as Martha Kent and then transforms is interesting. But you can see there's a shot where he comes out of her apartment, condo, or whatever, and he walks into the hallway, and Lois Lane is not in the shot. Martha Kent just looks towards the door and nods, acknowledging that there's someone there, but you don't see that person. And it's just clear as day that that's a reshoot, right? And then he transforms into the Martian Manhunter. And then he also appears at the end of the movie telling Bruce that there's a war coming, and just like Bruce, he also has a stake in this world, so he's ready to join the fight. A little too late, buddy. You know, we've had Man of Steel where the world nearly ended, and then we have Batman v Superman where, you know, Doomsday shows up, and where the hell was Martian Manhunter? So that just sticks out like a sore thumb. I can't help but think about that while seeing these new additions. Onto the things I really like. The Flash is amazing in this. The Flash is pretty important, and this goes for the entirety of the Justice League crew. Everybody is important. Everybody has a valid role to play in the story. The Flash turns back time because they do fail in separating the mother boxes, which is the whole their mission. Because Steppenwolf is trying to unite the mother boxes, and he does succeed, and the world does end, or it becomes apocalypse. And Barry goes back in time and changes everything, which automatically makes him the most important hero in the story, right? But the thing is, everybody has a very important role. Diana is the one who has all the information about the upcoming war that they're all going to face. She has the information about the bad guys. She has information about Darkseid, Steppenwolf. She knows everybody. Like, she is the encyclopedia, if you want. Everybody goes to her for the information. Batman is the one recruiting everybody, you know, and Cyborg is just so much more interesting in this compared to Joss's league, Joss Whedon's league. He is practically the internet personified, which makes him a god. We all worship the internet, and this guy is the one that controls everything now. And he is imbued with so much character and pathos in this compared to the theatrical release. There's a scene where he helps out this random lady who's having a hard time paying rent, has 2 kids, and he helps her out. And it's just great, right? It's just so satisfying, and it humanizes the character. Yeah, so he's powerful, and he is a hero on different levels. So it just validates his presence in the movie. Steppenwolf. Oh my. I couldn't stand Steppenwolf in Joss's league. I couldn't stand him. I didn't like the costume. I believe what they tried to do, it was humanize him. Especially after seeing Endgame and Infinity War, seeing how Thanos was very human. He could carry dialogue scenes, you know, without the need of action, and you were right there, like a regular drama, like 2 human beings having a dramatic conversation. Thanos could carry that. And so I think they were trying to accomplish that with Steppenwolf in Joss's League in the theatrical release, and it fails. They do it with his mannerisms and his motivation or lack thereof, and more importantly, his design. But here, man, we go all out. Steppenwolf looks dope. It looks amazing. The costume design is very sophisticated. And, you know, there's a lot of attention to detail. For instance, during battle scenes, when Steppenwolf is ready for action, little spikes come out of the costume. And then you notice when he's dormant or just, you know, talking or giving commands or whatever, the costume is just, you know, it's smooth all around. And when he interacts with his boss, the master whose graces is trying to get back, good graces is trying to get back into Darkseid, the costume retracts because initially you think it's fused to his skin, fused to his alien body. But when talking to Thanos, Darkseid, the costume retracts and you see his horns and you see his skin in reverence to his master. So that I really appreciated that. Steppenwolf is badass. His motivation is more palpable. I'm way more along for the ride. Steppenwolf's journey in this compared to Joss's League. Really amazing. Really amazing. Furthermore, the thing that really drives the greatest attribute of this movie is the quantity. you get a lot of superheroics in this. This is 4 hours, right? For instance, the flashback scene, or the scene where Wonder Woman, once again, the encyclopedia of this, the villain encyclopedia of this story, is telling Bruce Wayne about the oncoming war, the oncoming evil, and we flash back to the war between the old gods versus dark side. I just love that. I love it's like little movies, little vignettes within the entire movie. And that's just great. I love stuff like that. It's epic. The story within a story. I love stories about stories. Really great stuff. That's what Neil Gaiman. That's how he describes his writing. Neil Gaiman describes his writing as stories about stories, and that's just great because it's just a lot. It's just, there's so much to enjoy there. It's deep. It's mythological. It's epic, right? So that scene is great. But a gripe with that scene is, and in general, is how Green Lantern is treated in movies. Like, studios don't know what to do with Green Lantern. In that flashback scene of the old gods fighting Darkseid, there's a random Green Lantern, who rises up in the air and uses the powers and fires this, but he promptly gets killed. But my problem is, who the hell is that Green Lantern? Why didn't they use a familiar Green Lantern? And he died so quickly, which doesn't really make any sense because Green Lanterns, it's just really powerful, right? Their abilities are really powerful. They need to hire a director like, say, Taika Waititi or Edgar Wright, someone who is a fun, wild director that appreciates the power of the ring, because I see the Green Lantern power like Lego. It's fun. It's a good time. So you just need a director who can appreciate that and isn't afraid to lean into the silliness, the craziness, the fun nature of that ability. And it's also weird to watch a Justice League movie where Green Lantern does not exist, right? There is no Green Lantern in there because the Green Lantern is a huge part of Justice League, right? He's a huge factor and a big player, a major player. Another thing I really loved about this movie, and I was really skeptical about in general when I watch anything that has Batman in it, is how Batman is portrayed on this bigger scale, this grander scale. If you've ever watched the Batman animated series compared to Batman in Justice League or Justice League Unlimited, the cartoon, there's a major difference, because you have the Dark Knight, the brooding Batman, then you have the grounded detective Batman, which we're gonna get in the upcoming Robert Pattinson Batman movie. And then you have the epic galaxy-spanning co-worker of Superman, Batman, who's bigger and is more powerful because he uses his gadgets and his toys more. So he stands toe-to-toe with his godly counterparts. His money and his knowledge, his wisdom makes him just as much of a god as his partners in crime, as the rest of the Justice League, right? So these characters, they're all really powerful, and all their powers are shown off in this, right? So they all stand toe to toe, and everybody's equal. You don't feel like, when watching Avengers, you're wondering what use is Black Widow and Hawkeye, especially Hawkeye, right? They can't do much, and you feel that, and everybody makes fun of that. Even though it's still interesting watching them, I still like those characters, but they can't do anything. But here, Batman stands toe to toe with everybody, right? He has a major role of recruiting everybody, and when it comes down to the action, he breaks out the big guns, the big toys, the crawler. There's a scene where Alfred modifies Batman's gauntlet so he can absorb energy, so he can fight with the parademons. It's really, really great. I really enjoyed it. It feels like the epic Batman that fits with the Justice League. And in general, the whole movie feels like a Justice League movie. I didn't get that at all with Justice League, the theatrical release. And I didn't get that with Man of Steel, right? Because as I said, I believe that vision is misguided. The whole DCEU, I thought it was all misguided. It didn't feel like Superman. And in Batman v Superman, the best thing about that movie is the scene where Batman destroys like 100 henchmen. That's like the hyperbole, but he fights off like 20 Batman in that warehouse when he's trying to save Martha Kent. That is some Batman-ish right there. That is some amazing Batman content. It really felt like Batman. But here, this feels like Justice League. If you've ever watched any of the DC animated universe, there's a bunch of cartoons like DC animated kills Marvel animated. Hands down. If you watch any, there's a bunch of Justice League animated movies, and if you watch any of those, you know the vibe of the Justice League. You get that here. This feels like a Justice League movie, completely. Yeah, I do agree though. There's a lot of talk about how unnecessary the a lot of the end sequences are with regard to the Joker and all that. But you know what? I like that that nightmare sequence, even though it's not needed. Like, why is he still having nightmares about the future? Well, you know why? It's because if Darkseid does invade and uses the anti-life equation and kills Lois Lane, that'll completely flip Superman. And so there's that potential of that catastrophic situation happening. So it's still lingering in the air, which is why I do hope we get more of this movie, like a second part of this movie from Zack Snyder, so we can explore that more, see what that happens, because that lingering fear hanging over everybody's head is palpable, is valid. So hanging out in the nightmare sequence once again towards the end, where we see Jared Leto's Joker with Cyborg, and I love the way Flash looked, the future Flash, and it's great to see how the costume looked before he goes back in time to warn Batman. Because that scene in Joss's League in the theatrical release, no one could tell, right? There was a big thing like who is that? But everybody just figured out it was Flash, because it was only Flash that can go back in time. But you couldn't tell what the costume looked like. But here you see it full, like his mask lifts up, and you see that it's the Flash, and it's just a high-tech time travel future suit, and it's amazing. It's really fun to see. Once again, it's a lot. It's just great. It's because you get so much superhero content, so much lore, right? So much fan service, and that is just so satisfying, which is interesting because compared to what we're getting from the MCU, the TV shows that are being released from WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I find very unsatisfying. Just like everybody else, WandaVision, I was very excited for that as it went along. But given the overwhelming end, it completely negated everything that came before. I haven't rewatched a single episode of WandaVision. And I never actually rewatched a single episode of WandaVision while it was going on before it ended. But now, after experiencing that end, once again, negates everything. I'm not interested in rewatching that. And so far with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I have no interest in rewatching this first episode, even though it has a great action sequence in the beginning. But I'm really not interested in a grounded approach to these characters we've come to know. I don't want to see Sam Wilson come up with a business plan. What is going on? Who came up with that idea? Like, what's happening? I don't want to see. I don't care about the economics of superheroes, how they get paid, how they live. I'm not interested. The Boys goes into that. We already have something that deals with that. So Marvel, the MCU, trying to get into that playground does not work at all, because they can't go full throttle into that playground. They still have to maintain the heightened, fantastic scenarios and situations and atmosphere they have established from the beginning of Iron Man. So for them trying to be more grounded and talking about how the blip has affected the fact that they haven't had any income because they've literally been gone. They disappeared for 5 years, so they have no income history. So the bank doesn't want to give them a loan. I don't care about this. I don't care about Sam's fishing boat or his nephews or his sister. Do not care. So that feels padded out. That feels like it's doing what WandaVision did, right? And once again, I think that these guys need to just release these shows in bulk. And I wouldn't be as frustrated if, I had the entirety of WandaVision to watch and I saw what was going on. I was like, okay, whatever. At least I got it all at once. But having to be dragged along for a whole month for something so underwhelming is skeezy. I don't like it, and it feels like that's what's going on with Falcon and the Winter Soldier right now. But in contrast, here you get 4 hours. People are complaining that it ends way too much. There are too many endings. Too many endings. This is a good problem to have. This is first world problems with regard to comic book movies. So that's, to me, that doesn't do anything. I don't care. It could end a million times. I'd actually appreciate another ending, Zach. Hook it up. Do it. DC, Warner Brothers, give Zack back. Give the DCEU back to Zack. Right? This man knows what he's doing, and well, I guess a lot of it may have changed, and given what the man has experienced leading up to this, it must have maybe affected how he approached this movie, right? So maybe we wouldn't have gotten the movie we have if, unfortunately, any of that terrible, horrible stuff didn't happen, But this is amazing, and I want to see more of this world. Okay, I really do. What else? Yeah, I really liked it. I highly recommend it. I can't wait to see Flashpoint. Now I can't wait to see Flashpoint. After watching the Justice League, the theatrical cut, and seeing the Flash in that, and then the prospect and the rumors of there being a Flashpoint movie, watching Ezra Miller interviews, him talking about the upcoming Flash movie, I didn't care. But after watching this, now I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to see the Flashpoint movie, because such a big part of this is and it's really subtle. Great scene where Flash goes back in time and reverses the end of the world, changes everything, right? I really enjoy that. So I can't wait to see the Flash movie. I can't wait to see a Cyborg movie, right? This is what a good story does. This is what it really affects and infects everything regarding that world in a good way. You want to see more. Let's see. I also think that that Zack Snyder, is such a big part of this universe, and as soon as he left, things kind of fell apart, because you can see the proof is in the pudding. Like watching Wonder Woman 2, Wonder Woman 84, what a garbage fire, what a dumpster fire that was. And Zack Snyder had a big part to play in the success of the very first Wonder Woman movie. So it's clear that his influence plays a big part in the palatability, the success of the DCEU. And because he wasn't around, Wonder Woman 84 just went off the rails. It's so forgettable and just very misguided, very uninteresting. I can't imagine that the Wonder Woman of Wonder Woman 84 is the same Wonder Woman in this Zack Snyder cut that we got. So yeah, keep this man around. He knows what he's doing, and I really want to see more from it. If you've seen the movie, I think most people have by now. Is it worth an HBO Max subscription? Yes, it is. So check it out. Get the subscription and watch that. And if you've seen it, please let me know what you think. If you think I'm completely full of crap, if I have blinders on, but I don't think so, because I'm a skeptic. I did not care for this whatsoever, but now I'm a believer. I really am. I believe in what Zack Snyder is doing, because I'm not a huge fan of Zack Snyder. I think his best work is 300, up until this. But after watching this, I'm like, yeah, I'm down, right? Once again, the MCU, it's so weird. We live in a very strange world. What goes up must eventually come down. And not to say that the MCU is crashing and burning. I don't think they'll ever do that. That'll ever happen to them, because they've built such a solid foundation. They have such a solid legacy that they can just mess around and do whatever they want now, because they know we love these characters. They know we want to see more of these characters. So they just do whatever they want. But what they're producing right now is lacks substance and is underwhelming. Man, watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it feels tired. It does feel tired. Like seeing Bucky, it feels tired. Talking about the blip, seeing the Falcon, it feels pretty tired. I'm kind of over it. I never thought I would ever say that. I never thought I would ever feel this way. But it feels really, really tired, right? Tell me what you guys think. I really want to know, because I think we're seeing a shift. And that's only if Warner Brothers and the DCEU continues on the trajectory that Zack Snyder has set with the Justice League Snyder Cut. So, on that note, I would like to implore you guys. I'm nothing. This channel is nothing. I just, you know, I created this channel to talk about stuff that I love in movies and animation, and I'm an aspiring writer, movie maker, so I'm a student of this. I try to be as honest as possible. So hit that like button if you want to hear my opinion some more. Hit that subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Whatever. I'm going to be creating a Patreon. There's a lot in store for this channel. My next video is going to be regarding Candyman and Dracula and the similarities they share. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching. And folks, do not forget, it's really important that you understand. Don't forget this. We live in a society.